Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon and welcome to the press conference of Foreign Minister Alexander Schallenberg and Foreign Minister of Bosnia and Herzegovina, Elmedin Konaković. Minister.
Ladies and gentlemen, dear friend Elmedin, it's great to have you back in Austria. We saw each other last week, but it's great to have you back here after our Friends of the Western Balkan meeting in the Wachau last summer. And you know that Austria is not only geographically close to Austria, but is also close to our hearts and closely linked to us in many ways. Just to mention the solid economic ties we have. We are actually the third biggest investor in Bosnia and Herzegovina. And my aim and our aim is obviously to be, as soon as possible, investor number one in Bosnia and Herzegovina. Secondly, obviously our strong human and cultural ties. We have around 100,000 Bosnian citizens living here, 3,000 students, and I'm especially proud about that. And talking about young people, I dearly remember and I'm proud about the Speak Up program we developed together with the United States. I had several occasions where I met these young leaders here in Vienna and in Sarajevo and of all parts of Bosnia and Herzegovina. And it was really interesting and encouraging to see the dynamic group they represent, the future leaders of the country, and it was inspiring to see how they were working together and discussing. And each time I saw them, it made me believe that there is a bright future in the European family for Bosnia and Herzegovina. I told you before when we met in 4-eyed meetings, and I will repeat it here obviously, and there's no doubt about it, Austria stands by your side. We stand with you, shoulder to shoulder, on your path towards the European Union. And Austria was at the forefront of the countries fighting for the opening of the accession negotiations. I remember how delighted and happy we were when we finally got this decision in March by the European Council. And in the run-up to this decision, actually Bosnia and Herzegovina undertook more reforms than in the years ahead. So it proves that actually this pressure was helpful also for you guys, and you get many things done in the areas of justice, anti-money laundering, conflict of interest and other things. And it shows also, and the European Commission at the time said in its progress report, it shows that there's a strong political will in your country to continue the path towards the European Union. And I want to thank you personally for your leadership in this issue. I remember you were tirelessly talking to ministers around the European Union, trying to make the case to generate understanding too for your very intricate and difficult and complex situation sometimes. But you were personally highly implicated and engaged, and it was partly also your personal leadership who led to this decision. But you know that gratefulness is not a category in politics. If you took one step, the next one is already ahead, and our goal is very clear. We want an IGC in 2025, as quickly as possible. And we also know that the standstill that has occurred after the opening of accession negotiations have strengthened, you could say, the group of those who have reservations, who are skeptical among the EU member states. And I'm asking you, and you know that, don't make it too easy on them. Mm-hmm. Give us arguments, make the case, give us room or to understand that you're actually moving into the right direction. And there are things, we discussed about them now in detail, border control issue, on data protection, where we are hopeful that we will deliver soon, where EU chief negotiator is another point, the Frontex agreement, which we hopefully could, or you can sign beginning of next year. All of these steps would be important signs that you mean what you are preaching, that there's no doubt about the path, about the way you're continuing towards the European Union. And you know that these, and it's also important that we keep on repeating it and making it clear, these are not reforms which are imposed from outside. These are not some daydreams of bureaucrats in Brussels. These are actually things which are necessary for your own sake. And I'm talking as a foreign minister of a country which is, you could say, profiting from something we shouldn't profit of, the brain drain. Too many young people have left Bosnia and Herzegovina and are leaving. too many of them, when you ask them, and I believe it's around 40% or even above, say if they had the chance, they would leave the country tomorrow. And this is something which is, I believe, our biggest common task, to ensure that they have a future, a European future, within Bosnia-Herzegovina. Because we as investor, still number 3, we want to become number 1, we need talented young people in Bosnia-Herzegovina who would then work for the Austrian companies there. And we know that there are several actors, political actors, in your country which seem not to be pulling in the same direction, which seem to be not interested in reforms. And I believe we have to make it very clear, use every incentive, every leverage we have to get everybody on board, to get everybody pulling into the same direction. And I can assure you one thing, my friend, as we are now in Austria in this interesting situation that we are currently, we have a government, we are already negotiating the composition of the next government. I can assure you that the position of Austria also in the next 5 years, the next government will exactly be the same. We will stand with you, we will stand with the whole partners in the Western Balkans. And this is not because of altruism. This is not even a question of love. This is a question of self-interest. You are our neighbors. We are heavily invested economically, we are heavily invested, we have strong human ties. It is our political future lies too in the Western Balkans. Your security, your stability, your prosperity is our security, our stability, our prosperity. We are completely interlinked. And that's why I know that we will continue on this path. And we all know how the situation in Europe changed. After the return of war and the Russian war of aggression, we don't want you to be left in a dangerous limbo situation. We don't want you or any other country in the Western Balkans to become target of third countries who want to undermine the European Union and the European way of life. So it is about exporting stability unless we risk importing stability. And you know that we are not alone in that. I'm still extremely proud of the group of friends of the Western Balkans we have created over a year ago, 1.5 years ago here in Austria, in the Wachau, where you were last summer. We will continue to lobby and fight for the opening of accession, for the formal opening of accession negotiations, to have an IGC, an intergovernmental conference, as early as possible in 2025, and to advance step by step in the common European future. And last but not least, among the many links we have is one concerning the whole region. The EU strategy for the Danube region might not be known to everybody in the room. I see some smiling, they do know about it. And I had the pleasure to chair this, or Austria had the pleasure of chairing the strategy since last November. And it's a particular pleasure for me today to hand over this difficult chairmanship to you, Emedin. It's a laboratory for EU accession. It's the only strategy of the European Union where I have EU member states and candidate countries. And we know the aim is always to make out of the Danube sort of EU river, which only flows through EU member states. So my best wishes for the US SDR presidency, and I'm feeling confident to know that the steering wheel is now, for the Danube region, is now in your hands. Thank you for being here, everybody.
Thank you very much. Minister Konaković, please.
Thank you so much. I'm really happy to be here in this beautiful country, this beautiful city, and I want to thank to my dear friend and colleague Alexander Schallenberg and to Austrian government, of course, for massive support actually that you provided to Bosnia and Herzegovina on our European path. I will tell you just several facts. My country exports 92% of our products into European Union. 70% goes directly to member states and 22% to the region. So that shows the importance of European integration for my country, and that's the only way that can bring Bosnia and Herzegovina forward in some more optimistic period of time. It was really important that help from your side, our colleagues from Western Balkans, friends, 7 countries that actually explained what Western Balkans really is in European Union. So that's important because some European countries, they don't know us. They don't know our mentality, they don't know our culture, tradition, and it's important to have friends like you to advocate and to explain what really Bosnia and Herzegovina and the rest of that region is and how important for European Union that region really is. Unfortunately, now we have our chance, unfortunately, because of Russian aggression on Ukraine, when European Union realized that security issue in the heart of Europe is really also important. I want to repeat that we have Russian malign influence in my country present and still there. And I will tell you just shortly how complex Bosnia and Herzegovina is. In 1995, we had a Dayton agreement. Actually, Dayton brought a peace. It was important at that time, but also brought complex constitutional arrangement when you need to have consensus on three sides to decide about every single issue, about documents, about budget, about laws. And now we are talking about European laws. So that's important to know because it's really not easy to have a European path as fast as we want to be. We delivered a lot, and it's actually also a proof that things are possible. And 30 years ago, we were literally fighting and shooting each other. We had a horrible war, just a few hundred kilometers from this country. And now today, we are sitting together, trying to find compromises and solutions, and we proved it's possible. Big problem, big issue for my country is a brain drain. I think we were on the first place in the world in 2021 when 130,000 Bosnians and Herzegovinians by Eurostat, it's official statistics, actually when they get permissions for work to work in European Union. So it's close to 4%. I'm telling this because the last year, 23, only less than 10,000 Bosnians and Herzegovinians left the country because they felt a kind of possibility of hope after Brussels granted the green light to Bosnia and Herzegovina. So that shows how important European path, one more time, is for my country. We have a lot of common interests. Our economy looks good. It can be better, but it looks really good. In this 70% exports to European Union, Austria has a special place together with some other countries, and we are actually exporting, import is almost covered every year. So this country is really important in a sense of economy also. And I want to, of course, send my regards to Bosnian community here in Austria. I have a lot of friends, actually, they feel this country like our Bosnia and Herzegovina. They feel really good, they're organized, and they're really appreciating and supporting all activities, actually, that you are doing here in this beautiful country. Thank you for leadership, and thank you for very successful presidency in EU strategy for the Danube region. We will try to be good as you were. And of course, we will try to use this European EU strategy for the Danube region to speed up our European path also. So we will do our best, and we really appreciate, and I'm happy actually to taking this presidency from your side. These 12 thematic EUSDR priority areas provide wide opportunities for cooperation in making the Danube region a place of stability, security, and prosperity. Thank you very much one more time for your kind hospitality. We have some challenges ahead of us, but I'm sure that we will continue, and we will continue delivering. So our friends from EU, they should see that we are really struggling and we are really focused and committed for European path, and I explained some reasons, and I said some facts. It's crucial for Bosnia and Herzegovina. I hope we will continue with the IGC next year, but also with some other activities that will bring my country closer to European Union. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Minister Schallenberg and Minister Konaković are available for questions now. Any questions from your side? Ms. Edelbacher, Austrian Press Agency, please. Mic is coming.
I have a question for Minister Schallenberg. It's about Syria. How long will it take? What do you think? How long will it take for the EU to establish direct contact with the victorious groups now in Syria? And the second question is: does it make sense to already push for a return of the Syrians from Europe to their homeland? Thank you.
If you don't mind, I might answer it in German because I believe that. Und zu Syrien, die Entwicklung bis Wochenende waren ja unglaublich in Wirklichkeit, sehr überraschend. Das war wirklich ein Wendepunkt in der Region. Das Unrechtsregimes Assad gehört der Geschichte an und wurde eigentlich auch überraschend vollkommen von Russland und dem Iran fallen gelassen. Es ist noch sehr viel im Fluss. Wir müssen noch abwarten, bis der Schraub sich gelegt hat. Die erste Phase jetzt ist natürlich, dass wir die Situation sehr genau beobachten. Der Krisenstab im Außenministerium tagt sehr, sehr regelmäßig, und wir halten auch sehr engen Kontakt natürlich mit unseren Botschaften in der Region. Worum es uns jetzt am allermeisten geht, ist einen geordneten und friedlichen Übergangsprozess, so wie im Rahmen der UNO-Resolution 2254 festgelegt ist, dass der ermöglicht wird. Und da müssen wir mit aller Kraft dahinter sein. Das wird nicht über Nacht geschehen, aber es gibt jetzt zumindest zum ersten Mal eine gewisse Möglichkeit dazu. Die oberste Prämisse ist ganz klar: keine Vertreibungen, keine Gewaltexzesse, Respekt der Menschenrechte und Schutz der ethnischen und religiösen Minderheiten. Das ist einem Staat wie Israel das A und O, sonst kann nichts weitergehen. Sie wissen ja, dass ich selber zu einer Gruppe der Außenminister gehörte, die am Beginn des Sommers eine Änderung der Syrienpolitik der Europäischen Union gefordert hat. Was jetzt eigentlich geschieht, die aktuellen Entwicklungen bestärken uns in dieser Forderung. Wir brauchen eine realistische und pragmatische Diskussion zu Syrien ohne ideologische Scheuklappen. Und ich erwarte mir eigentlich schon beim nächsten Rat der EU-Außenminister am nächsten Montag eine Diskussion. Syrien muss auf der Tagesordnung stehen. Und natürlich geht es auch darum, der Zivilbevölkerung wieder Perspektiven vor Ort zu schaffen und damit auch die Rückkehrmöglichkeit Geflüchteter zu eröffnen. Wir haben ja allein fast 17 Millionen Menschen, die auf humanitäre Hilfe angewiesen sind. Millionen, die in Ausland, sei es in der Türkei, in Jordanien, im Libanon, aber auch in Europa Zuflucht gefunden haben. Das ist ja kein Zustand, der haltbar ist. Jetzt eine Bewertung. Es ist wichtig, dass wir jetzt einmal Fakten schaffen, dass wir auch hier, wie angeordnet, die Asylverfahren, die Familiennachzug sozusagen an Hold stellen, aber dass wir warten, bis der Staub sich legt, dass wir sehen, was geschieht, was sind die nächsten Punkte und wo können wir hier andocken. Die Sachlage ist noch sehr verworren, sehr komplex. Das ist bei Syrien, muss man jetzt schon fast sagen, nichts Neues, leider Gottes. Es ist ja nicht so, dass es eine Oppositionsgruppe gibt oder eine sozusagen Oppositionsregierung in dem Sinne. Wir müssen schauen, was hier eigentlich geschieht. Wichtigste ist jetzt, engagiert bleiben, alle Antennen ausfahren, zu suchen, mit wem kann man hier ins Gespräch kommen und wie können wir als Europäische Union oder als andere Staaten zu einer positiven Entwicklung in Syrien beitragen. Das sind die Menschen in Syrien, die nach so vielen Jahren das am meisten verdienen. Sorry. Lengthy explanation. I can repeat everything in English.
I have my stuff actually. Some of them they understand their language. So.
Any other questions? Mr. Köppel-Haslinger, freelance journalist.
Thank you. The policy of the president of the Republika Srpska, Milorad Dodik, is slowing down or even paralyzing Bosnia's ability to reforms. Those reforms are necessary for Bosnia to join the EU. They are demanded by the EU Commission. Many experts call for a more proactive approach of the EU, even more proactive approach in Bosnia's process to join the EU. Does the EU need to put sanctions on Milorad Dodik and his allies, as the US, for example, did? And does Austria maybe need to go forward with such an approach within the EU? Whilst you mentioned before that Austria is always pushing forward for EU membership of Bosnia.
Well, first of all, I said it in maybe diplomatic terms before, that not everybody is pulling into the same direction in Bosnia-Herzegovina. And to be very clear, we fully condemn and strongly condemn the rhetoric, the playing with secessionist thinking, provocations, and also the attacks on the High Representative, Schmidt. And Dodik has to know, the Republika Srpska, that the future has to be in Bosnia-Herzegovina. And that the EU perspective is the only perspective in town. You can try to sell yourself to any other power, but at the end, and as my friend stated out, the European Union is the economic neighbor and partner. We are the financial partner and neighbor. We are the human and cultural partner and neighbor. So I would suggest everybody stop looking to Moscow or Beijing or other places on this planet and start thinking about where the history lies in the region. I always say that the Western Balkans, this is not a neighborhood, actually. It's surrounded by EU member states. It's the inner courtyard of the European Union. Comparable, if you want, with Switzerland. It's surrounded by EU member states. So this shouldn't remain a blank spot on the map, and then won't be an accession of Bosnia-Herzegovina to any other organization or country or, or political thinking. You're asking about sanctions. We had this discussion in the European Union. I was hesitant because we should start a discussion only if we know that we can get to a result. And I believe what we're doing now is strict conditionality and incentives. And I believe that is, the Americans use their leverage, we use our leverage, and I believe this combination might do the trick. And it's a step-by-step work. It's never done deal. And my friend standing to my right-hand side knows more about it's never done deal and it's step-by-step than anybody. And it's daily hard work, convincing, but there are possibilities. And you have to acknowledge that sanctions means always that you have reached, so to say, the end of the diplomatic alphabet. And I would like not to get to this point as far as a candidate country is concerned, if avoidable.
Any other questions? If not, I think we can
But
proceed
we still have
to
one
the
thing to
handover.
do, I
Yes.
forgot. I have
Officially.
to give you
Yeah, officially.
the official steering wheel, because I'm so happy I got rid of this.
It's heavy.
He was actually working most
Yeah.
on it.
So I need some advices. We should stay for 5 minutes.
Like, it's good to know that you have it now in your hands.
Thank you so much.
Good to know.
It's a great honor. Thank you so much, my dear Alexander.
And this concludes the press conference. Thank you very much and have a lovely afternoon still.